Horses have been in Northeast Wisconsin to celebrate over a decade of a partnership with a nonprofit organization. There they are, the Budweiser Clydesdales, and they're in Green Bay. Officials say they were in the area to celebrate 14 years of a partnership with Folds of Honor. It's an organization that provides families of fallen or disabled U.S. service members and their families of first responders with scholarships towards educational opportunities. Today, the horses made Holmgren Way beer deliveries to the Rest Center, D2 Sports Bar, Stadium View, and Doozy Sports Bar, and the bar on Holmgren Way.
Really just trying to drum up some excitement, give some entertainment for the people. And then it's kind of cool to bring Clydesdales to a local community like Green Bay. We're big, right? But not too big. We aren't like a big city here that gets them every year. So 12 years ago they came, and now they're here again.
Well, the horse will be at the Pearly Gates Veterans Benefit, which includes a Fold of Honor scholarship check presentation.